Eight Wealth Management's finest advisors. Gentlemen, would you like to introduce yourselves?
I'm Kinally. I'm a financial advisor at Eight Wealth Management, and I'm passionate about financial fitness and Eight Wealth Health.
I'm Stuart Brown. I'm again one of the financial advisors within Eight Wealth Management, and I help look after people and make sure that they're confident in their financial future.
I think we can all agree that 2020 has been somewhat of a difficult year. What have been the concerns, starting with Mark, of your client base and your contacts since March last year?
The main one was at the beginning was being initially reactive to clients concerned that their pension savings or their investment savings and potentially their plan towards retirement or their plan in retirement may completely change, or the value go to zero from all the negative press that there was. They also had concerns on jobs and fears of furlough, or fears they may not get brought back from furlough and made redundant. Concerns on their business. They didn't know how their business was going to cope. Our job was to be reactive initially and then proactive to call all our clients, just help guide people through and ensure with history that they know things will return to good health, and that there was either something to be concerned on or nothing to be concerned on in their scenario.
Stuart, were you dealing with similar things with your client base and associates?
Yeah, I think it was a really difficult time for a lot of people. So I think the first kind of thing we did was exactly as Mark said. We were very reactive to start with. So spending a lot of time talking to clients, reassuring them, because it is a really difficult time, especially in a lot of cases where you see your funds fall in value by quite a considerable amount. Most importantly, the ones that are drawing an income on a regular basis or are at the point where this is all the money they've got. So if they're using it for their retirement and they've got nothing else, it's really important to make sure that they were confident. And thankfully, having the robust plan in place, a lot of the clients were quite at ease before we even had the conversation. When you kind of step away from the clients that were drawing an income, a lot of it was for people, again, just making sure that they had the savings in their background and reassuring them that everything we'd put in place, even though they were being made redundant or there was a risk of it, that they had enough money to keep them going and the right protection and areas were put in place.
Do you have like suddenly a whole load of email comes in? We visualize phones ringing off the hook, or actually was it a lot more controlled and calm than that?
I got one phone call and that was it. And that was by someone that had just recently done a pension transfer. I think people had the plan and they were confident in their own investments and what they had, that they knew that we would call them. And if there was anything they really need to worry about, that they could call, but nobody did. But like what you said, I was very much expecting emails after emails and the phone to ring, but no, it was very reassuring that they didn't.
And the reactive bit, I think, really helped me within my lockdown, because I was ringing up clients and seeing how they were on not just a financial side, but also personally.
Totally agree with that. I think it was nice for people like myself and Mark to be on the phone. It kind of it definitely made the transition and the whole scenario that was going on easier for us, because, you know, we had something to focus on. And I think it was just nice for the clients to have somebody different to talk to.
How do you believe that financial matters affect mental health in times like these?
I think it's huge. Firstly, finance, for some reason, in the UK is such a taboo subject, whether it's with friends, family. I even had a call this morning with someone going, you know, out of all of my closest friends I went to school with, you know, they might occasionally talk about going into an investment or going into cryptocurrency or buying a buy-to-let property, but they don't tend to talk about why they did it or how much it costs or what they're earning. They definitely don't do it with their family. So one of, I think, our jobs is to make sure that finance is less of a taboo subject and people can talk about if they've made a good or bad decision. But with the world we live in, you know, there's so much mindfulness, there's so much resilience, especially with the lockdowns that we've been going through, ways to make yourself better with self-help books, doing yoga, doing breathing techniques, doing all of these different things in life. If you don't look at your finances and know what you've got, it's usually a lot less scary than you think it was. So you're actually taking a weight off your mind that might or might not keep you up at night. And for at least 2.5 years now, that's why I've come up with the 8 Wealth Health concept for eating well, knowing what's in your alcohol if you drink, knowing how to do mindfulness, and with all the knowledge that you can get, make sure that you use that knowledge to impact you as much or as little as you want to benefit. Otherwise, there's no point having that knowledge if you don't use it.
Stuart, how do you feel financial matters affect mental health in this country?
I think it's probably, well, definitely financial matters are probably one of the biggest drivers of anxiety in people, especially at the minute. There's a lot of concern, especially with, thankfully, mortgage rates and anything aren't increasing, but there's the fear of having less income. A lot of people have obviously been taking redundancy. A lot of people are on furlough, so a reduced income. I think we have to be thankful that actually mental health and the wellness has been a really, really strong subject over the last years, because I think if it wasn't, there'd still be a fear of people talking about it. But I have a lot more conversations and a lot more open conversations with people about how they're generally feeling about their money, their future. And again, that's kind of turned to, how is it going to look in 10, 15, 20 years time? And people are starting to be cautious and concerned about that, which before they never were.
What else can you do to help people during this turbulent time practically?
As the start of the year, I've sent out to all my clients a budget form. So what that's done, and it's coming off the back actually of what I did with every single client when I spoke to them last year, was to go, right, really assess, given your situation, what your essential expenditure is. And we've always talked about it before, but I think now is a real key point, and especially with the situation, to really nail down on what it was. What's your essential expenditure? So the stuff that you've got no choice but to spend. What is your discretionary expenditure? And then now what we've kind of gone into is, what is your luxury? Because I think over the last sort of 9 months, people have not spent what was their luxury. So they're finding a lot more money in their bank account. So it's giving people the understanding of actually what are the first and easiest things to cut out, to make sure that they've got the expendable money to look after themselves and live and look after their family and keep a roof over their heads. And then we can put other options into place about speaking to mortgage companies, making sure they got the right savings in place and how long they would last, knowing what their actual budget is.
It's all about knowing what you have and what you haven't got. And the budget is what it boils down to. If you don't know what your essential monthly spending are to feed you or your family and pay the bills and know what that is, then you don't know what is or isn't enough. And that's such a key driver on it. And then what I always say is actually to go through your bank statement. Just scroll through your bank statement, even if it's once every other month, and find out if there's a payment, whether that's annually or whether that's monthly, that's just irrelevant. So in a lockdown, Amazon Prime and Netflix probably aren't going to be your first monthly statements. But if you're not watching, say, Sky or Sky Sports initially did a hold, can you reduce that, or can you stop it altogether, whatever that payment is? And that in itself, people quite like, because they're like, oh, I saved this, and can I review what the costs are? And once people work out what their surplus income is or what they're saving, it almost becomes a little bit addictive, like a game. What else can I save, or how much more can I put aside? So for people that haven't worried about money, that they might have been furloughed, but that furlough income was more than sufficient or in a safe job, they've technically indirectly saved. So this period has been probably good for their finances, while other people have really found it difficult and they've really had to hunker down and find out what they've got and know how important that rainy day pot of funds is.
Yeah, and I think along with that, it goes back to the wellness side. That's actually, once people understand what their budget is, then it kind of curbs their anxiety, because they know if they drop a salary by 20%, they know what losing 20% of what they're spending looks like.
I know that 8 Wealth Management throughout the start of the year has been running a campaign on financial fitness. What does financial fitness mean to you?
Financial fitness means, quite simply to me, is that people are making the right steps, no different to you would, and I'll bring it back to what I did as a previous career, because I think there's no different. It's no different to you wanting to go in and get yourself fitter, healthier. Some people lose weight, some people tone up in the gym, and with the physical side, your financial fitness is exactly the same. It's making you and your finances look exactly as you want to, and gaining that support along the way, so that when you get to the point of needing the money, being it short, medium or long term, you know that with the right plan in place, because you've been financially fit at the outset, that you've got a really robust and strong plan, and you can't ask for more than that.
You know what you have, you know what's important to you, and having someone to almost like a business coach or a fitness coach or something like that, that almost makes you accountable, or is that little sort of gremlin on the shoulder going, but if you do this, you won't be able to do that. The amount of people that, you know, will meet a financial advisor and will either, you know, go, oh, that's a bit dull, or have nothing to ask us. The one question is, how much money do I need to retire? And actually with financial fitness, it's going, well, what have you got? When do you want to retire? And more importantly, what do you want to retire on? And if you don't know any of the answers to those questions, then having a financial review with any financial advisor is definitely going to be important.
Stuart, what do you hope 2021 will bring?
I just want 2021 to bring a lot more confidence. I want people to kind of go into this year, because I think there's a lot of kind of hopes and dreams going that we've come out of the worst year of 2020 and we've gone into 2021 and it's going to be the most amazing year, and it's just going to completely blow 2020 out of the water. And I really do hope for my clients, friends, family, and everybody that kind of listens to this, that it is that. But actually, I think it's going to be a lot slower. But I think if everybody kind of goes into 2021 understanding and appreciating that it's going to be slower, but there is so much that's likely to happen, you know, and I'm kind of hoping that we do get a full vaccine rolled out, as they've kind of suggested, that travel abroad is there. I'm hoping and I'm predicting that we've got a lot more consistency and kind of control going forward into 2021.
I mean, I hope resolutions turn into, you know, slightly changing perspective, and that at some point, Stuart and I are probably sick to death of talking about Brexit and COVID, that at some point those become words of the past. Industries can get back on their feet and start hiring again, and just general confidence in both the economy and markets, which markets have been there. But the news is so negative at the moment, people don't necessarily know.
Do you think that people's view of finances will have changed as a result of this? I mean, no one's seen your designer handbag. You've had nowhere to wear your couture outfit. You haven't been able to go on a special super holiday to put on Instagram. Do you think things have recalibrated, or will we all go back to the way it was, in more so to compensate?
I think there'll be some people that will, especially who have potentially been in an industry that has thrived in the pandemic, and they potentially have more surplus income, and therefore potentially have worked hard and will go, I'm gonna, I don't know, buy a new car or have this big holiday, or and go out to lots of different restaurants. But at the same time, what they will have seen, I think, will slowly change them. And who knows what that consumer behavior trend will be. I think, yeah, buying things online will still happen, but probably not to the same extent. And people will like to go to a shop and touch and feel. Potentially the local element will be a big thing to help support local restaurants and local small businesses. I hope that will be a big thing, and that will be here to stay.
People are going to make more of life. I think we've been put into a position where actually, if people have been sat there going, oh, we'll leave it till next year, I think people are going to be more for the now. You know, you're going to see more people going to music gigs, to sporting events, to just getting life experience. You know, even if it's a walk down the beach, to, you know, going to see, I don't know, Guns N' Roses in concert. You know, it's something that people will go, actually, I wasn't willing to spend that money because it was expensive. But the second that is taken away from you, I think people are going to be more willing to go and go, right, we've got this chance, let's live for the now.
How's it affected you since March?
And like everyone, highs and lows. In March, I had a not quite 6-month-old baby, I think 4.5 months old, and a 3.5-year-old. We very quickly realised just before lockdown happened, and it wasn't appropriate to go into the office, so I was working from home. And luckily, I had that ability to, because I would work from home at certain times. It's been interesting adapting your client relationships to being virtual, especially new ones, has been strange. You have good and bad days, but I think taking lockdown 2 and lockdown 3, we're more prepared. So, you're not going to potentially eat or drink your way through it. You're going to stay positive, maybe be more fitness, maybe find time to do things that you wouldn't have done in lockdown 1, and just the time was a bit of a blur.
I think I've had 3 phases of 3 lockdowns. The first one, I think I floated on the adrenaline. As we kind of discussed earlier, Mark and I spent the whole time being proactive. So, we were having 25, 30 meetings a week, constantly on the phone, constantly on the screen. And I did what I promised to myself I'd never do. I stopped eating properly. I stopped exercising, which is a fundamental part of my well-being. And, we had a 7-year-old or 6-year-old at the time that was working and schooling over the computer in the same room as myself, my wife and me, all working in the same room. So it was a very kind of energized, passionate kind of environment. As you kind of came out of it, which was summer, which is actually quite nice. Even that, it was a complete waste of a summer for me. And I don't have many regrets in life, but not getting up and making the most of the sunshine and taking time for myself and my family was probably one of the only regrets I've got in life. But as we kind of went into the second one, I was a lot more controlled. It was a bit colder, so we did a bit more stuff. And then coming into the third and this one now, I've taken a complete different outlook. I give myself time to do breathing exercise and make sure I'm mentally focused in the morning. I get up and have an hour without my wife or daughter who are still in bed. So I've got a really good part of the day to do my exercise, have my breakfast, and be mentally prepared for everybody during the day, including myself. This time, one of the biggest things I found, and actually I only said it to my daughter last night, is we sit down for dinner at 5:30 every night. It makes no difference whether client calls are pushed right or left to accommodate that. I don't go any training, I don't do anything. We've got a full hour where there's 3 of us sat around the table, eating and talking about each other's day, which is amazing for her. She's so much more relaxed. I'm definitely more relaxed, and it's just a really nice, harmonious environment. I think it's definitely been one of the biggest learning experiences in my life of how to look after my clients, my family, and myself all at the same time. And I think actually I've definitely come out of it a better person on the other side.
And it sounds like you've found discipline, and discipline is what you need for financial fitness.
Hey,
and I was going to say resilience. You've come out with more resilience.
Definitely
resilience and discipline. Those are our words of the week.